Hi guys, this is Breaker. Please go ahead and click on that glowing button on the right side of your screen. That would be subscribe. And here I am casting a PvT between everybody's favorite Protoss in eXeA and A Division. It's none other than Tydrokos. In the upper right hand corner, on the opposite end of Whirlwind LE, it's Kylemkw. The map that we are on, in terms of PvT, I'm trying to stop and think for a minute just what kind of trouble we would encounter. Basically, the natural is actually quite wide open, so I want to say that in terms of Hellion run-bys, it would actually be quite effective for Kylemkw to just send a bunch of Hellions by and run them through the probe line. I think a classic 1-1-1 build would actually be quite effective on this map. And alternatively, with medevac drops with Widow Mines inside of them, that would also be terribly effective as well. Of course, the main armies, if the main army at just the right timing in the early game was split between the natural and the main, I think we would see Tydro in a lot of trouble. Excuse me, any Protoss in a lot of trouble, really. There it is, the first barracks going down. No gas being taken just yet. So we're just going to wait and see where things go from here. It could, I want to say that with, of course, the new metas that we see, we could see Reapers out, but let's just kind of see where and when by the gas gets finished. This is not an 888 opening. Do not mistake it for such, because it basically did not get an extremely early Reaper out, and it looks like this guy is being rallied just right here. I was going to say maybe all the way to the south end of the map. Excuse me. Alright, so gas is being harvested straight away. And it looks like there won't, 50 gas. We'll have to wait just a few seconds, but it won't be too terribly critical. We do have a Marine getting cranked out first. And what is Kyle doing behind this? It looks like he's going to use an SCV to scout. Meanwhile, we have Tydro getting his Cybernetics core out, so I want to say that if there's going to be any Reaper play in this, it'll be too late to actually do anything effective in terms of harass. It'll actually help him get some scouting info out. That much is a given. First Marine right here, but of course the Reaper is still on the way. But we do have one Zealot out, and we're just waiting for the Stalker to get started for Tydro. There it is. Alright, so now the Reaper is finished, and let's just see where this guy's going to go. Of course, Kylemkw's SCV did reveal that there's nothing in the upper left-hand corner, so we won't be seeing him head in that direction anytime soon. Not with the Reaper, and it looks like he's actually going to go straight south with it, but by the time it actually reaches the natural, the main of Tydro, his Stalker and his Zealot should already be out on the map, but I like the fact that Tydro is actually using his Stalker in a rather defensive-ish position. He does know that there's no way for a Reaper to get up there besides through the ramp here, more or less. It can hop up the cliff here, it can hop up the cliff maybe here. But at the same time, either way, one way or another, if Tydro just left a Stalker there, it would get vision of his opponent inevitably. All right, so Kylemkw does not know where Tydro is except by process of elimination now, and the Stalker arrives at the natural, and the Reaper is in the main of Tydro, actually causing quite the ruckus. It's actually, just attacking the Cybernetics core. Won't get a kill on it, of course. But now it's going into the mineral line. This is forcing Tydro to pull probes off the line, which is actually taking down the income significantly at this stage. First Marauder is actually out for Kylemkw, and it looks like we may actually see... Oh, I was about to say maybe, just maybe, we were going to see the natural get delayed. And Tydro's actually not microing his probes right now. He needs to pay especially close attention to those, and this is actually turning into a bit of a multitasking game, and looks like Tydro's just like, okay, well, there we go. Time to do some damage. But that Reaper's at 8 HP. Looks like the Stalker was dispatched of, and the Zealot, oh my god, it came so close to getting the last hit on that Marauder. And that's actually some pretty okay micro by Kylemkw. Both sides actually taking rather substantial losses at the early stage in the game. Question is, who lost more workers? Definitely definitely Tydro at this stage. And Kyle just wants to say that was pretty intense, and I have to say that I am inclined to agree with him. Tydro's actually ahead in workers, but of course with mule count, that actually makes a huge difference in terms of income. Tydro's significantly far behind. Double gas at the main, one too many workers on the extractor there, and one too many workers on the extractor here. I'm a little curious as to what that's all about. Maybe a misclick, and that's about it. Doesn't know good to put him on the does it? Mineral line? Maybe? I don't know. Of course. We do have stim going down for Kyle, and of course more barracks being tacked on, so we're going to see a lot of pressure? A lot of, we're going to see a lot of bio play. Robotics facility being tacked on for Tydro right now. Don't know what exactly his plan is with this. Of course, Immortals at this stage in the game would be effective against Marauders, but overall, Marauders alone will not get you to win a game. Speaking of, there's only 3 right here. There's also a Widow Mine. In case you guys didn't know, Widow Mines will actually take the full shields off of an Immortal, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Widow Mine's OP. Now here we are with 4. That's a lot of sentries. Wow. Moving out to this position, I'm wondering just what the idea is with this. Of course, the main is cranking out an observer. Excuse me, the robotics main, the main is, and we have 2 gases being tacked on as well. I'm wondering if we're going to see maybe a Twilight Council follow-up, but geez, this is a lot of Marauders right here for any number of Stalkers to go up against. I can read into Tydrokos' PvP, but his PvT is a completely different story. There's a lot of, that's a lot of sentries and a lot of zealots right here. Stalkers, not so many, because of course they are rather ineffective versus Marauders, and this appears to be a contain of some sort, a containing maneuver for Tydrokos. Okay, so here we go. Oh no, the Widow Mine. It was actually triggered by something else earlier. Beautiful force fields by Tydro. He's gonna get, I think, quite a few Marauder kills here. This is just sick to look at. But of course, I think these sentries are on kind of limited time. They're past their expiration date. 2 of them, 3 of them do pop. And now we have the Zealots coming in to try and reinforce. There's only 1 Stalker left, and versus 2 Marauders, that's just not going to prevail. Combat shield's about finished for Kylemkw, so he's about to get 10 more HP just as he needs it, and the medevacs pop out just in time. And of course, not the Marauder, but the Observer's just going to sit back here and kind of relax. Widow Mine's still here amazingly enough. I thought maybe, I had no clue he had the ability to attack that. But back home, let's see how Tydro's going to follow this up. He's actually got 1 Immortal in production and a Robotics Bay on the way, so we're going to see some Colossi thrown into this game inevitably. And the follow-up that we have from our Terran is +1 armor and +1 attack, as well as a 3rd command center. Definitely getting that macro up. It's going to help boost his income as well as his production. Both players kind of gearing up for the late game, but I really want to see that 3rd Expo going down for Tydro. And my god, that is actually... Wow, what just happened there? It looks like he attacked his own orbital command by accident for just a moment, as he was trying to find the observer. And what I liked about Tydro there is he basically forced his opponent to burn a scan. Of course, the pylon here is about to fall. Another pylon over here. So if Tydro's in a tough spot and he needs to actually kind of create some kind of harassment maneuvers, it will work. He's got 3 Immortals here to hold off against a great deal of Marauders. There's actually, I think, a lot less a lot less Marines here than what needs to be. Sorry guys, I actually have to stop and think how to say Changbing in English. That's Marine in Chinese. But oh my god, this is gonna be kind of tough to hold for Tydro. I'm surprised we didn't see a split into the main. But here we go. That's 3 Immortals, 1 Colossus, beautiful force fields, and it looks like Tydro just doesn't want to back off of the defensive. But this is big. This is huge right here. Oh my god, where are things gonna go from here? This is, oh my god, all the stalkers basically got rallied to the wrong spot, so they didn't even kill a single unit there to the best of my knowledge. Colossi is coming back in here, going to town on the bio units, but the robotics bait falls, and we're gonna have to see basically some kind of a, I don't know, correct follow-up to say the very least from Tydro. He's at 85 supply as opposed to his opponent's 110, and it looks like this might be a slight overcommitment by Kylemkw. But I think overall what he did there was getting in, sniping out that robotics bait, and then getting out. May have just paid for his own, may have just paid for the blood of his Marauders and Marines. And now we have Twilight Council following this up, possibly into a Dark Shrine. But I definitely want to say that Tydro is definitely behind with not even getting his 3rd started. Amazingly enough, he did not lose a single Immortal there. Not even the shields were raised off of the Immortals. He actually got a good deal of kills on one of them, 6. So those Marauders are, you know, I mean, they actually did good against the composition that we saw from Kylemkw. But of course, it looks like Kylemkw is kind of making a mistake there. He pulled 2 workers off of his gas by accident, or he just, whatever. He just didn't put 2 additional workers on them, and now we see Tydro is not oblivious to the 3rd of his opponent now. He knows that he has to either take his own 3rd, or he has to, you know, basically do some kind of an all-in, or do something reactionary that makes his opponent take a lot of damage, both economically and physically, to his army. The supply difference right now is 100 to 149, and the army supplies for both players are, wow. That's actually quite a huge discrepancy at this stage. I'm a little curious as to why we don't see Tydro taking his 3rd. The 1 Marine out here is going to just basically poke this pylon to death. Yeah. That C-14 Gauss rifle really overpowered, isn't it, guys? And 2 scans being burned by Kylemkw. I think that's basically for BM. He knows how behind Tydro is right now, and I'm not entirely sure just why Tydro isn't trying to expand behind this. Like, he's oversaturated on workers at his main, well, as natural anyway. His main not so much, and it looks like this is actually going to be a full-blown all-in from Tydro. Question is, what are we going to see from him? This pylon's been spotted and is being taken down by a Marine. Archon, we don't have any really kind of AoE. +2 attacks on the way. Blink not researched. I'm a little curious, just where exactly is the tech, where exactly is the logic behind this? Hold on just a second, guys. Let's see here. Templar Archives, so we're going to have storms on the way eventually, and now we basically have Tydrokos turtling up a little bit before taking his own 3rd. I can't really blame him because this is kind of a long way to go to defend your 3rd. And now we have Kylemkw maxed out, 200, level 2, what's the word I'm looking for? 2 armor, 2 attack. And now we have, this is interesting, Kyle's still not on full gas at his 3rd. So just a few mistakes from Kyle. But if we check the income for both players, Kyle's actually a lot further ahead, mostly, of course, due to the mules. He's going dry on his natural. His main is basically already dry, almost completely mined out. He's only got a handful of workers there, and it's on basically a limited time. Kyle really needs to throw away his army right now and remax ASAP if he wants to beat Tydro. Tydro knows that his opponent has a death ball, and he's got a lot of storms ready here. Like, how many High Templars is that? That looks like enough for easily 6, maybe 7 storms. Here we go! One nice storm goes down on the Vikings. puts them all in the yellow HP. And this is a... Oh, man. Wow. We actually see Kylemkw running all of his bio straight into the storms. Tydro kind of holding his ground as best he can against this. One Archon in back doing a lot of damage. 7 kills. Mentor Archon. And now... Wow, that actually did not work out for Kylemkw. That is actually the biggest turnaround I have ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't know what to say. It looked like an overcommitment in Marauders from Kylemkw. He was on 3 base for the longest time, superior upgrades, everything else in between. His biggest mistake was not getting the ghosts out in time. He's researching personal cloaking. What about the Mobius reactor? Wait, Brood War days. Brood War days. He does have the ghost energy upgrade out. He's not making any nukes right now. But these Marauders are free to kite all they want versus these Archons. And the ghosts, I am afraid, may not make it out in time to this fight. There are 5 out on the map right now. They just finished up the barracks, but they're all the way back at the natural. And there was 1 EMP that just went down, but there's not enough bio to hold here against what we see from Tydro. Feedback's going down on the remaining ghosts, and it's just a handful of Marines and Marauders to hold against what we see here from Tydro. It's amazing what I'm seeing here, guys. I almost can't believe it. This is one of those really, really rare situational games that one person can come across. There's no medevacs here to heal the Marauders or the Marines. And now this is basically coming down to the grind, the tooth and the nail for Kylemkw to hold here. Can he do it? That is the question, guys. He's targeting down this 1 Archon, and now, wow, he's just barely managed to hold against Tydro right here. He has to immediately react defensively if he wants to effectively hold this position in this game. Zealots going to town on the refineries at the 3rd. This is actually going to stop the gas income for MKW, like significantly. And the Planetary Fortress is going back down. He's gonna put a full 24 workers back on it. Nexus number 4 going down for Tydro, and I can't believe the comeback we're seeing in this game, guys. What am I casting? David versus Goliath? Okay, so here we go. 2 more Archons and a lot of Zealots. Zealot Archon is extremely effective against everything except Mass Ghost and Marine Marauder. We do have medevacs on the way. 7 Marines being cranked out at a time because it seems like for some strange reason Kylemkw just doesn't seem to be immediately concerned with cranking out any ghosts. He is not oblivious to the 4th of his opponent. And that is a lot of High Templars being tacked onto the main army. 2 of them being immediately transformed into Archons. I like that. The late game think tank sort of method because Immortals are basically useless against mass Marines. They are basically a situational solution to dealing with Marauders, and that is it. But here we go. Speaking of, we've got the Marines and the Marauders here just basically fighting what they can against Tydro. And the storms, they're just so beautiful. We need to see those ghosts in this army for Kylemkw to really do any damage to his opponent. Natural went dry for Tydro just now. He did just hit the select idle worker button and rally everything en masse over here. It might be an okay idea for him to go and take a 4th right now. That I'm not so sure of, but it entirely depends on the situation and just where he puts them. The one thing you must bear in mind about any Protoss army is that it is entirely slow moving unless it's Mass Phoenixes, and Mass Phoenixes is not good for the late game. Of course, Tydro being super persistent, putting an observer here, but it does get caught onto by Kylemkw. Income at about 2,500 for Kylemkw. He really needs to add more ghosts to his composition. It's only 6 here, and a good number of, just a small number of well-placed feedbacks can deal with that. Yes, we have actually a slight, Tydro's High Templar number is slightly higher than that. It looks like we got 8 here. And we have scans going down everywhere, basically. The only thing that annoys me about Heart of the Swarm is the fact that when you hear a scan go down as opposed to Wings of Liberty, you see it, you hear it everywhere. You don't see it on the minimap. You don't see anything to indicate that on the minimap. So it just makes casting just a teeny bit harder, a little bit more confusing. And here we go. Boy, looks like something just got ran into this. No, the Archons were attacking rocks, and Tydro now knows just what Kylemkw is up to. He's got an okay concave here, but the positioning, I don't know how it's going to boil down. I mean, if he just sends a few zealots in, a handful at a time, it's all just going to get toasted. Yes, and this Ghost using snipe. They are all cloaked, mind you. They're trying to get some snipes down on these zealots. It looks like they're just playing, you know, shoot 'em up, like who's the best sniper. But here we go. This could be a critical mistake from Kylemkw. You should actually be sniping the High Templars. They actually do get a buff versus psionic units. But unfortunately, they don't do anything to Archons. Now there it is the scan. Kylemkw is aware of just where Tydro is presently. He's also aware of just what composition Tydro has. He just scanned a second ago. And he's in a comfortable position, so he's going to try and move in here and attack the 4th base of Tydro. Stemming up a handful of Marines to kind of take down the cannon, but it looks like he's kind of being trapped here. I don't think there is a safe way for the army to return home, but now he's kind of forced to engage. Here it is. EMPs went down kind of okay. They've got the Colossi in back, but that's about it. And the Colossi are dealing out so much AoE on the main army of Kylemkw. But it looks like Kylemkw's main force is still alive here to the very last bitter end. And now what we have is the luckiest Colossi on the planet with 16 kills, ranked as a master. And a very hungry Tydrokos pushing back with mostly Zealots, Archons, and these Archons don't have any medevacs here to heal them. That's basically the biggest detriment to Kylemkw right now. He's got superior supply count, but it's going to plummet very quickly as the Archons toast those SCVs and Marauders. An extremely lucky Archon with only 10 HP. And more Marauders coming into stem, and it looks like they took down the Colossi somewhere in all of that engagement. There we go. I just don't know what to make of this, guys. You know, it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We see just, like, these guys are just trading armies, and I can't say just who's ahead right now outside of income. It's Tydrokos. We need to see Terran take a 4th now ASAP. That's basically the biggest thing that I can tell you. And speaking of, excuse me, not a 4th, a 5th. He's taking it right now. He's actually moving his orbital command from his main to that position. I admire that move because I don't think it's worth spending 400 minerals on. And now we see Tydro also electing to take his 5th. He's like, okay, great, that didn't work out. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe Kylemkw is actually Diamond rank. So for all those of you not in Masters yet, don't worry about it. You'll get there eventually. Just keep playing the game. Double medevac drop going down for Kylemkw. I just want to kind of reveal that for the time being. Sorry, let's go ahead and follow this medevac as it does seem to be a little more beautifully orchestrated. And Ignite Afterburners being activated. I think he's going to get the snipe on this Nexus because like Tydro is going to be forced to either engage here or he's going to be forced to save his Nexus. He's going to have to pull the probes off of that. He's not doing it. And right now, it looks like Tydro, he's torn. He really is. He doesn't know which to do. It looks like he's micromanaging his 4th base. It was sniped down and all of that. He lost more workers there. My God. Kylemkw is really making up for the SCV massacre that took place at his 3rd base. Where are these medevacs? They're right here. Another scan going down somewhere. I just can't tell where. And reading into this, I just don't see any late game tech up. I'm talking like maybe end game void rays or end game battle cruisers, end game carriers, whatever have you. The carrier is more like I want to say a novelty unit than anything else, unless you're playing PvZ Zerg or PvZ and you're going Skytoss. This is actually a big mistake by Kylemkw. He's actually grouping up these Vikings. Looked like some nasty storms went down here, and Tydro got about 14 SCV kills out of it. And now we have Tydro electing to throw away his main army to try and deal with his opponent's main army. They are divided. This is not the ideal way to play Protoss, or this is not the ideal way to play Terran. And the Vikings here are not being microed. There's only one Colossus here, two Colossus now, and here we go, guys. This looks like we're going to see a lot of trouble for Kylemkw. Yes, sir. Beautiful storms going down, and it looks like Tydro is getting a definitive lead over this. Both Colossi were sniped and all of that. Beautiful storms going down, catching the Marauders, going into their rally points. And this is just sick to watch, ladies and gentlemen. I think we see Tydro pushing in for the win. This Archon kind of dealing with what's at the third. I like that move a lot. It really takes down the macro of Kylemkw. And there it is, 9 Marines being cranked out at a time, but that's all we have. He says, retarded how I make one mistake, you make so many, and still win. Oh, poor Kyle, poor guy. I wonder, yeah, he still had this double medevac drop down here. He actually didn't do anything with it. He could have maybe put it into this position over here, but of course with almost full mana, that actually would have been easily dispatched of with the High Templar that was on the ground. It looks like this one is actually low on energy. It was feedbacked once or twice, I think. One more feedback and it would have done the trick. But there we go, guys. If you liked what you saw here out of this mega game, just go ahead and click on the subscribe button. This has been Breaker. I'll see you guys next time.